Hello and welcome to another edition of Insight, the Greater Cleveland Partnership feature that examines issues facing Northeast Ohio businesses. I'm your host, Steve Luttner, and joining me today is Marty McGann, Vice President for State and Local Government Affairs for the Greater Cleveland Partnership. Hi, Marty.
Hi, Steve.
Marty, today you and I are going to be talking about an education issue called Common Core. Before we get to that, I want to just cite a National Center for Education Statistics study that was released recently. It goes to what we're going to be talking about in a minute here, that shows that teenagers in the U.S. on an international scale have slipped from 25th to 31st in math since 2009, from 20th to 24th in science, and from 11th to 21st in reading. So those are startling statistics, and I think maybe go to the heart of what we're talking about here today. To start with, could you just give us a general, concise overview? What is Common Core?
Common Core is a state-led initiative to develop a common set of standards for kids in K through 12th grade. It's really meant to provide a clear understanding to parents and teachers and help them develop strategies to improve the educational experience.
Like an educational barometer or measuring stick.
It is.
And the Cleveland Municipal School District was an earlier practitioner. They adopted this early on, is that right?
Yeah, the Cleveland School District was an early pilot location for the Common Core. They've spent the better part of the last 3 years developing the curriculum, training their staff, and really upgrading their systems to be fully prepared to implement this program starting next school year.
Now, just to be clear, Common Core isn't a program that's styled specifically for large urban school districts. It's much broader than that, right?
Correct. State superintendents from across the country were the ones that led the original initiative and continue to lead this movement today. This is really a nationwide issue, and it's something that is not rural or suburban or urban. This is really nationwide. 45 out of 50 states have endorsed the program.
That leads us to House Bill 237, which is pending in the State House in Columbus. Now, this is a piece of legislation, if I understand it correctly, that would dismantle Common Core in Ohio, and this is a piece of legislation that the Greater Cleveland Partnership opposes. Can you talk a little bit about this?
This House Bill 237 would remove that support, and it's really the proponents argue two main points, essentially. They argue that the standards are flawed, and they argue that this is an inappropriate intrusion by the federal government into the educational system. And we at the Greater Cleveland Partnership don't buy either argument. Well, the standards are not perfect. They're better than the patchwork of state standards across the nation, and really developing one common system is the way to go. And second of all, the federal government didn't lead this effort. They have encouraged states to be involved, but this is really a state-led approach.
So I want to take this back to the Cleveland School District for just a moment here then. So if Common Core were dismantled, if the state unplugged itself from Common Core, what would that do to the Cleveland Municipal School District, which is arguably at the beginning of hopefully an historic transformation here? What would it mean?
We were honored at GCP to stand side by side with Mayor Jackson in developing the transformation plan, to getting the legislation needed in Columbus to really enable that to be successful, and to helping pass the levy that we passed as a community last year. All that work was founded on the basis of Common Core. And so to unplug Ohio from Common Core right now would really be a major step back for our community.
I'm sure the Greater Cleveland Partnership will continue to track that legislation. Thanks, Marty. And thanks for joining us for another edition of Insight. In the weeks and months ahead, Insight will explore even more issues facing Northeast Ohio businesses. Thanks again.